Welcome to Southwest Ranches Local Planning Agency. Thank you. Welcome to the Southwest Ranches Local Planning Agency. Russell, if you can please call the order.
Sure. Mayor Barcus?
Here.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Here.
Councilmember Albert?
Here.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Here.
Councilmember Kaczynski?
Here.
We have a quorum, Mayor.
Great, thank you. All right. Item number 3. Did we do? Yes. No. All right. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, now, first resolution.
Okay, Mayor, this is a resolution of the local planning agency of the town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, recommending that the town council adopt with changes or not adopt an ordinance amending the Unified Land Development Code pertaining to the commercial retail sales plants not on farms and providing an effective date.
Great, thank you, Russell. Just want to make sure everybody, the meeting is a little bit different than our normal. We're starting a little bit later because we had a budget meeting before this. This is the local planning agency, so we're going through some items here, and then as soon as this meeting's over, then we get into our normal council meeting. So just so everybody's aware of where we are. Once we get to the normal meeting, we'll have the public comment and all the things that you normally would see. So, all right. So item number 3 has been read into the record. Is there a motion on that item?
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All right. I wanted to take just a couple minutes to speak about this item a little bit. This is an item that has been a long time coming, and I want to be clear on a couple of things. This has been kicked around a little bit. This does not affect ag. As a matter of fact, ag is specifically excluded from this. What this is about is retail commercial businesses in residential areas and trying to control those and ensure that residents in the residential areas are able to enjoy the rural lifestyle without say like a mini Home Depot opening up next to them. So that's what this item is about. All right. Any other comments on this item? Okay, great. And let me open it up to the public. Any public comments on this item? All right. Seeing none. Russell, if you can please call the roll on this item.
Councilmember Albert?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yeah.
Councilmember Kaczynski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Barcus?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item number 4.
This is a resolution of the local planning agency of the town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, recommending that the town council adopt with changes or not adopt an ordinance amending the Unified Land Development Code to regulate the conversion of dwellings for non-residential uses and provide an effective date.
Great, thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion and a second. Is there any comment or questions from the council on this item? Seeing none, is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, public comment is closed. Russell, if you could please call the roll.
Mayor, Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kaczynski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Barcus?
Yes.
Motion passes. Motion to adjourn.
Excellent, thank you. All right, so we will roll right into a regular meeting here. Just a minute here for everybody to get the paperwork ready. Good. All right, all the our regular town council meeting to order. If we could please call the roll.
Mayor Barcus?
Here.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Here.
Councilmember Albritton?
Here.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Here.
Councilmember Kaczynski?
Here.
We have a quorum, Mayor.
Excellent, thank you. If you could please join me in the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Richard, we need to read in rules of order.
Please be advised that the following item on the council agenda is a quasi-judicial nature. All witnesses who will testify on any item in this portion of the agenda will be sworn in. Participants who are members of the general public need not be sworn and will not be subject to cross-examination if they are not sworn. However, the council shall not assign unsworn testimony the same weight or credibility as sworn testimony in its deliberations. The applicant has the burden of proof. After the applicant's concluding remarks, the hearing will be closed and no additional testimony, material, or argument will be allowed unless the council chooses to request additional testimony. The members of the town council will then deliberate. All evidence relied upon by reasonably prudent persons in the conduct of their affairs may be considered in these proceedings, regardless of whether such evidence would be admissible in a court. Hearsay evidence may supplement or explain other evidence, but shall not alone support a conclusion unless it would be admissible over objection in court. The material in the town council agenda will be considered as evidence without authentication. Anyone representing an organization must present written evidence of his or her authority to speak on behalf of the organization in regard to the matter under consideration. Each person who appears during a public hearing shall identify himself or herself and give their address, and if appearing on behalf of an organization, state the name and mailing address of the organization. The council may, on its own motion or at the request of any person, continue the hearing to a fixed date, time, and no notice shall be required if a hearing is continued to a fixed date, time, and place. Any applicant shall have the right to request and be granted one continuance. However, all subsequent continuances shall be granted at the discretion of the council and only upon good cause shown. Thank you.
At this time, we're going to swear in witnesses, so if you're testifying on this particular item, I'll ask that you stand and please raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Anyone would like to read the resolution?
Yes, please. Okay.
This is a resolution and final order of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving waiver of plat application number WP-32-21 to subdivide 4.866 gross acres of property into two lots of 2.003 and 2.863 net acres, generally located on the west side of Hancock Road, approximately 1,600 feet south of East Palmdale Drive, comprising portions of tracts 39 and 40 of the Everglades Sugar and Land Company subdivision of Section 34, Township 50 South, Range 40 East, according to the plat thereof, reported in Plat Book 1, page 152 of the Public Records of Miami-Dade County, and adjoining land as more particularly described in Exhibit A hereto, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to execute any and all documents necessary to properly effectuate the intent of this resolution, providing for recordation and providing an effective date. This item was tabled from July 29, 2021.
Great, thank you, Russ. So we're going through the normal process, right? So Jeff, I guess.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is an application to subdivide 4.81 acres into two parcels of 2.81 acres and 2 acres net. This is Rural Ranches zoning and land use, which requires 2.5 gross or 2 net acres and 125 feet of lot width, and each proposed lot satisfies those requirements. There, I believe, were several barns on the property that have been demolished. Is that correct? Yeah, the applicant's indicating they have been demolished. And the remainder of the property was undeveloped. Now the entire property is vacant. There are no issues with creating any nonconformities here since the structures have been demolished. And both parcels would have sufficient area to reestablish equestrian and other agricultural use. Both properties would obtain access directly from Hancock Road. No additional right-of-ways required from Hancock Road at this location. We have letters of no objection on file from the various utilities, including Central Broward. When this item was initially noticed by mail and newspaper, the adjoining property owner to the south contacted the town and indicated that there was a provision in an earlier contract for sale going back 18 years that required the owner to deed back a certain amount of land once the property was being prepared for subdivision. And that's why this item's been deferred for a few meetings. That got done. It's all taken care of. That property owner's happy. Everything in your backup reflects the new lot configuration. We were talking about a 10-foot strip that got conveyed. It didn't change anything in terms of the ability of this property owner to, come before you with this waiver plaque. They have plenty of property. We recommend, we find that this application satisfies all the requirements in the code for creating lots within the Rural Ranches District. We had a recommendation in the staff report that existing structures within 50 feet of the proposed lot line would be demolished prior to recordation of the resolution. The applicants indicating that was done. That would make that condition moot. We'll note that the code requires that the resolution with the town attorney's signature on it be recorded in the public records prior to this application, or this approval rather, if council does approve this application becoming effective. There's a 6-month time period for that to happen, for that to get recorded. I believe the petitioner has some information that would be useful to council about the ownership of this property, the plans for this property. They'll have some of that to present. I'll leave that to them.
Great. Thank you, Joe. Yes, the applicant here.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. For the record, Mark Rickards, a certified planner with Kimley Horn, 1615 South Congress, Delray Beach, Florida. Appreciate your attention and consideration tonight, and I appreciate staff who's worked with us over the last few months to clean the project up with an unexpected issue and allow us to be in front of you tonight with a clean request. The Caraballo family is also here. Sylvia Caraballo is the manager of 5353 Hancock Road LLC. I'm here on her behalf. It is her family request. What you're voting on tonight is really the ability for a grandmother to watch her grandkids grow up in eyesight. Her daughter is home tonight with 2 young children. Her son-in-law is here tonight as well. If there's questions from the council. I think Jeff really did cover the logistics of the application. We're certainly here to answer questions, and the Caraballo family is here also to add to that with their story. Would respectfully ask for a vote of approval tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
If the board, any council has any questions for staff or for the applicant, we can proceed with that.
Okay. Any questions for, yeah, Dave?
Wasn't there a provision we had to make a disclosure?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to do that right prior to the vote.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
No questions.
No questions? All right.
Oh, I mean, if there's no questions,
Yeah, let's do
we
disclosure.
can go ahead and do that
Yeah.
now, but it's usually right before the vote. But let's go ahead and poll and ask for any disclosures of any ex parte communications.
I'll start off. I had 2 emails, one from the engineering firm and one from I guess it's the proposed buyer.
Okay, and that's.
I just answered back that I don't reply to those kind of emails. Quasi-judicial.
Okay, and despite those communications, you can still be fair and impartial and unbiased with your
Correct.
decision. Okay.
Yeah, I had a similar email, and once again, declined to meet and discuss.
Okay.
I'm saying you can be, despite those communications and email, you can be fair and impartial and unbiased. And
Yes.
make your decision solely on the evidence presented.
Absolutely.
Sounds like a trend.
Well, are you Mrs. Carbide? So
Yes,
we all have our reasons, but let me give you mine, because first your engineer sent me a note, and then you were nice enough to send me one as well, explaining the circumstances. When we're in the local planning agency, as we're sitting right now, we're not your council members. He's not the mayor, I'm not the vice mayor. We're effectively sitting in judgment of the facts being put, just like a judge in a court. You'd never think to go to a judge and write him a letter explaining the whole situation, and that's why we don't respond. It's not about you personally. If you and I have a conversation, I have to disclose that conversation to the rest of the council so they have the benefit of the information you gave me. Hence, no response to you, no response to the engineer.
I completely understand.
I just wanted you to understand, because we're not blowing you off. It's just that it
No,
creates a complication that I don't think any of us want.
No, I understand completely.
Good.
I wasn't aware of, this is all new to me in that sense. I was just introducing myself.
Sure. No, I understand. This happens all the time, so.
If Vice Mayor, just to clarify, we're not in the LPA right now, we're actually in the council.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Just clarification of what I'm saying, thank you. Okay, and so with that being said, your disclosures of any ex parte communications are?
2 emails to the 2 parties I just mentioned. I've had no other discussions with them.
Okay, and
And I can be fair and impartial.
perfect, great, thank you.
I had the same 2 emails, and I responded to both of them, stating that because it is quasi-judicial in nature, that once I realized that it was a quasi-judicial item that was on the agenda, that I stopped reading, and I just made the disclosure that it's something I do not respond to.
Okay, and despite those communications, you can still be fair and impartial?
I can be fair and impartial.
Yes, sir, I also received those 2 emails, and I did not respond at all, and I can be fair and impartial. Thank you.
If I may add, anytime in the future, as a council member, you can reach out to me. Feel free to do
Thank
so.
you.
Feel free to do so.
Any one of us.
Thank you very much, I appreciate that.
And do we have any further questions for either town staff or the applicant? Seeing none, okay.
I have some discussion I'd like to
Okay.
put forward. Okay, at our last meeting, we had discussed the waiver of plat in great length and great detail. This instance, I couldn't have scripted this any better, fits the number 2 slot. This is a developer, 53 LLC, Hancock LLC, excuse me, flipping to, we don't know who. We know that there's 4 parties so far involved in this. 53, the engineering firm that contacted us, Hart Builders, who I guess they're the middleman, and then a resident who says that there's ultimately want to move there. And I don't know if there's any contract buying going on here, or what have you, but this fits that number 2 scenario where it's a developer and this is a profit center, as opposed to just going through the regular platting process. And I'm leaning towards heavily
Just
to the platting process. Because there's so many entities involved here and they're coming in from different directions. I just don't see this as a normal split. And as you know, we're drafting language for the future, regarding the last meeting. And this fits the number 2 slot exactly. So I would recommend that they go to the planning process on this. That's where I'm at.
Okay. Any other comments from the council?
This isn't currently affected by the zoning in progress.
It was put in before.
No.
Okay.
No, it's not. But there is something factually relevant that the applicant has to share with you, because I learned this myself just prior to the meeting, and the applicant represented this, but I don't think it was understood by everybody, which is that 5353, which owns the property, is actually controlled by
Sylvia Caraballo.
Carabello, Ms. Carabello. They have owned this property since 2010. And now she wants to build a home for herself on it and a home for her daughter. And so Hart Homes apparently is going to be the builder. They have the sign on the property already. But I have been informed that there is no contract purchaser, that Hart Homes is merely the builder, that Ms. Carabello has owned the property since 2010 as 5353 Hancock LLC. And she states that she lives somewhere else along Hancock Road. Polity, excuse me.
Can you please go up to the mic so we can hear?
So those are the foundational facts here that seem to be relevant to this discussion. I just wanted to make sure you had those and could ask the applicant any questions.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it would be helpful, either party, whoever you're most comfortable with, to kind of walk us through what's going.
Is it okay if my son-in-law joins me? Because
Absolutely, absolutely.
I'm not very good at speaking.
Just please introduce yourself on the record and walk us through what's happening here.
Yeah, no problem. Hi, you doing? My name is Alvaro Cuernavaca. I'm Sylvia Caraballo, son-in-law, the owner of 5353. So Sylvia actually lives in Southwest Ranches over 13 years, I believe, on Polity Trail. So she's owned 5353 already, and it was rented out to I believe it was a horse stable company. We recently acquired the property completely. It's full, it's vacant. We emptied it out, and our plan is to just build 2 houses, one for myself with my wife and my 2 kids, and one for herself. In reality, the way the plan is, right, she wants to have her own home, her own functioning home. She lives in a nice sized home by herself on Southwest Ranches, so she would like to have something similar, and so is us too, and that's the only reason for the waiver plat is for us to have the size homes that we both would like, so we can call this our home. Very simple, just build 2 homes, so she can just be in hindsight of her grandkids. More room for us to expand our family and enjoy the rural lifestyle of Southwest Ranches. That's the offering that we live, So my family right now, we live in Pembroke Falls, right across the street. If there was a bridge that goes over Sheridan, we would be right there. So it's a dream come true to come to this town, and that's what we plan on, So very simple.
Great, thank you.
No problem.
And I apologize, I was the applicant, and we did provide, I think, the Sunbiz documents, but it's right there also on the Florida Department of Corporations, 5353 Hancock Road. The manager is Sylvia Caraballo. I know that I think I didn't realize as an applicant when I submitted that the backstory was so important. So, Councilmember Jablonski, I apologize for not making that more clear in my justification, but the current owner will be the owner in the future, being Sylvia Caraballo, the manager of 53, who is only splitting it so that her daughter can live next to her. Her daughter is married to Mr. Cuernavaca. So I hope that helps clear it up. There was no intention to have, there's no flipping involved. Hart Homes is just a home builder. The Caraballo family don't know how to build a home themselves. And that's the whole story.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
The engineer, and I apologize, I'm hard of hearing, I didn't get your name.
Oh, it's Mark Rickards, and I'm a planner, not an engineer, but.
Okay, planner, sorry. You guys look alike with math.
Yeah, sure.
5353 is now, if this gets approved,
Yes.
would now become 5353 twice, would now become individuals, homesteaded property, how?
That's a good
What's the
question.
view?
I'll let Sylvia answer if they're going to homestead both properties. That's a good question. Or is that the intent?
Yes. So the way it would be, you would have 2 separate addresses, is what we're planning to, and it would be 2 homesteaded properties. One under myself, Sylvia Caraballo, and one under Alvaro and Gabriela Cuernavaca, which is my daughter and her family. My intention is really to live right next door to them, to watch my grandkids grow, and eventually maybe even my grandkids could live there. This is the idea. This is our family home. We love Southwest Ranches. I live right on 6051 Polity Trail. Been living there for 13 years. I love the area. And my daughter grew up there part of the time until she married. needed her own home. I still want to have my own little home, so we have our privacy, but I spend more time with them, they spend more time with me than on our own. So that's the idea, yes. We would each have a homestead.
Okay, I'm halfway there. I'd like a little comfort here. Would you be amenable to not being able to convey the property for 36 months?
Yes.
Either, both properties?
That would be no problem at all, because this is our forever home. This is really what we want. We want to live.
Okay.
If I may, the present residence that you're living on in Holity, are you the owner of that property?
Yes, I am.
And what are you intending to do with that property?
I do intend to sell it.
Okay, is it up for sale at present?
Not right now. I wanted to make sure everything gets going before. I don't want to stay without a home.
Thank you.
Yes.
61 something.
So this sounds like the type of family splits we're looking to occur. I think so.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know,
and
it's exactly
somehow
what we like.
the water got very muddy
Yeah.
very quickly, and between the bump out and as of this afternoon.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to hear that it's a little bit clearer.
And I do have one question. I don't know to whom this would go to. Are there any violations present, any code violations present on that property?
There are no code violations present.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if we don't have any more further questions for the applicant, I just want to make sure we've opened it up to the public now that we're back in deliberations for anybody solely to speak on this item. Nothing remaining on the agenda, but just this item.
I do have one question before you guys goes on. The 36 months, what is your time frame for doing this project?
Would that be a question for Hart Homes?
We hope as soon as possible.
The intent, sir, there's been, this is my understanding, and Garrett, please correct me if I'm wrong, but some home plans were put on hold for this process. I would hope that it goes forward positively tonight. If it does, it will be a full speed ahead to construct the homes. Is the time frame about 9 months or a year for construction?
Probably 6 months for
If you
permitting.
can come up to the mic.
Okay. And if you would state your name, correct.
Good evening, Garrett Hart Homes,
Keep your mask on, please.
6278 North Federal Highway, Fort Lauderdale. So yeah, the answer to the question is 6 months permitting, 12 months building, so 18, 25 months.
Okay, great, thank you, appreciate it.
At this point, were there any members of the public that wanted to speak solely on this quasi-judicial matter?
Just a.
Okay, you gotta come up to the microphone.
I'm coming, sir.
Okay.
I'm getting-
Before you start speaking.
Getting older and it's getting slower. Hi, Chris Brownell, 5301 Thoroughbred Lane, HOA president. Jason and I, who's serving as current vice president, Sylvia's been one of our members of the HOA. She's a current member, and we just wanted to support her and keep her in the community, her and her family. So thank you, and thank you, Sylvia.
What happened? Excuse me, great, thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay.
There's no further questions for the applicant or staff from council?
Yeah, no further question. Just a comment from my perspective. I think this is, after we get all the details cleared out, I think this actually is exactly what we want to promote. So I'm super excited that that you all are going to be doing this, and longtime residents for years and years and years to come. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, a quick question, if you would. That 36 months, when does that commence? When would that start? After the building or during the building?
I think it starts as soon
Won't be
as.
during
Tomorrow.
Yeah, as soon as we approve.
Once we approve.
Okay.
And basically that's saying it would not be sold in the next 36 months.
And I just have a brief blurb to read before we,
Do you need a motion?
well, we will in a second, but I just want to read this and then we'll go there. Yep. Okay, so each board member shall weigh the competent, material, and relevant evidence that was presented, giving each piece of evidence the weight the board member sees fit. After deliberations, a vote shall be taken to approve with conditions, or deny the application. When approving an application, the board member must ensure that there's competent, substantial evidence in the record to support its decision, and that the applicant has satisfied the applicable criteria in the town's code. So with that being said, we'll open it up for a motion.
Before you do, I just wanted to make sure, please, Mayor, that the property owner understands that it would have to remain under 5353 Hancock for 36 months, and that you're okay with that?
And I'm sorry, Jeff, I think, and I don't want to make it too complicated, but I believe the point after this action would be that there could be a legal sale to two entities, being Sylvia Caraballo and her son-in-law, which is
If
not.
that's the case, we need to recognize that in the motion.
Right.
Can you repeat that, Jeff? I'm not real clear on that.
What I was saying is, I wanted to make sure that I know that the property owner has no intention of flipping this, but they do want to take title to it under their individual names so they can homestead the properties and not the current ownership, which is 5353. So the motion would have to allow them to take title and then hold on to that for 36 months.
Right, and if the 36 months needs to start when title is conveyed to the two parties, that's okay too.
Now I understand.
Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense to me.
Okay, I'll
And then,
make,
sorry, Russell has one thing he needs to add real quick.
never mind.
Just wanted to bring to light something very, very quick. In the resolution itself, there was a scrivener's error that was discovered at the very last minute, of course. Section 2 has the incorrect date for the public hearing. It should state that at the first line, at a duly noticed public hearing held on September 13th, 21, not September 23rd. We're hearing it tonight, so I just wanted to make sure that we approve it subject to that scrivener's error correction for the 13th, as well as the other conditions that Jeff mentioned.
What page is it on?
That is on page, I apologize, it's on page
206.
421 for the general meeting.
4321.
It's behind tab 3 of the general meeting, and it's page 4 of 321, or page 2 of 6 of the particular item. Section 2, first line, September 23rd, should be September
Oh, I
13th.
see it, something new. Okay, you want that stipulated in the motion? Right. Okay, anybody else?
No, you're on, it's your cue, it's your cue, go for it.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we accept this with conditions, with the scrivener's error corrected, and the conditions that that there's no sale of the property for 36 months after the deed is changed.
The initial conveyance to the property separate.
Correct.
That's second.
Did I miss anything, Rachel?
I think that sounded good, Jeff. Was that fine?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. All right. Any further comments, discussion?
Do we have a
questions?
second?
Yeah, second. Just the fact that the Stevens are fully satisfied is very important to me.
Excellent.
And then in addition to Gary's.
Say that again, David, I'm sorry.
The Stevens concerns about the reconveyance of the property.
The bump out you're talking about?
Yeah.
That was satisfied, right?
That was, yes.
Yeah,
That was really important in this
Good.
issue.
yeah, that was satisfied.
All right. Seeing no further comments, Russell, if you could please call the roll.
Certainly, Mayor. Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passes, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Item number 4, public comments. Do we have any?
We do. First public comment is Beth Pilgrim.
Not nice getting, and again, my name is Beth Pilgrim. I live on 5600.
Beth, could I ask you to please speak?
Oh.
Thanks.
5600 Southwest 134th Avenue, which was also known as Hunter Lane. And it is not a private road, which everybody keeps asking. What I'm complaining about is, a couple of years ago, I called and asked if they could come back and repave the road, because it looks like garbage. And they flat out told me they didn't have the money, no, they're not gonna do it. Now, if you know who Tom Bone is, if you come up to his house, right there, that's where the road kind of like starts turning bad. I live, it's a dead-end road, yes, and I live, if you come up a little further east, it curves around and goes to the end of the road, and that's where Dr. Hills lived. The road is ridiculous. They come, they pave it, they don't pave it, they come every once in a while to get that little black stuff, and they sit there and smash it down. And that tears up the bottom of my vehicle, because it's always, you know, catching in the wheels. And then as soon as it rains, there's another hole there. And I just want the road to where I don't have to go and get a, what's it called, for the front of your truck or take
An alignment then?
There you go. I don't want to do that. You know, I've got a pretty neat truck, and I just don't want that to happen. It's expensive, and I keep looking in this ranch wagon, and I look at the money that, not that you're making, it's just how it keeps growing. Now, years ago, you'd only see $2,000 down, $3,000. This keeps going like nothing is using it. I've lived out here, or my mom and dad bought the property in 1967. So I've been here a while. I've been through the road paving, I've been through the road gravel, like, you know, and I'm just tired, really, really tired. And it's getting to the point where it's like, I want to sell my property. And I have like 7.5 acres. Can somebody help and just repave? It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to look like these roads out here, just so you don't hit the holes. And if I'm riding, not hit a hole, I'm riding, minutes are up.
You done, but go ahead, finish your thought.
My, what was I saying? Don't want to drive on the other people's property, and I'm getting tired, really tired. I've been out there probably a little bit longer than quite a few, except for the Chris.
The person whose voicemail apparently was full today.
Yeah, because you know, the only reason I brought this is because I've called everybody in here. Either the phone was turned off, they weren't accepted. Does that mean I'm really getting too late? Oh, okay. Their phone was turned off, they didn't answer. The only one who I got hold of is the secretary. I don't know her name. I can't see very well without my glasses. Who was so pleasant. She just kept giving me number after number. Every number she gave me, I couldn't reach anybody except for this gentleman back here, Jason. And we talked for a while, and I'm just tired. Really, really getting tired.
Okay, great, thank you. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
We have one final speaker, Mayor. It's George Taylor.
George Taylor, 6721 Hancock Road, the residence next to the dump. I'm here finally to say that as of last Friday, the dumping has been stopped.
All right.
I'm here to publicly thank you. I'm here to publicly thank everyone that was involved in stopping this illegal operation. Not just for myself, but for the neighborhood as well. Thank you, John. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, George. All right. Rod, I wonder if you can Are you familiar with that, the Hunter Land? I believe you are. Could you just speak to that for a second regarding who maintains it, how it should be resolved?
Absolutely, yeah, it's a public road, so
Okay.
we're planning, I think tentatively on the schedule was 2023 when it was gonna get resurfaced.
Okay.
Obviously, our schedule's a little bit off, but it's coming up here in the next several years. Hopefully, if we keep on getting surtax money, it'll come quicker than that.
Great, great. Thank you. Chris, maybe you can pass that along. So let me just say,
Yes,
so
thank
it's on the TISDOR list. It's still a couple of years, but we're actually, whereas in the past, if it was 23, it would sometimes slip to 24, 25. Now that we're getting this penny tax money in, we're actually making up ground. So, but it's probably a couple of years away, but it's on there, which is, you know, and it's going to be taken care of. Why don't you come up to the mic, you have a question.
What was the exact name of the street? I didn't.
Untitled Lane.
That's on that, it's on the next to.
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the, it should be in the.
But it should take a year or so.
I apologize. I gather she was calling today, and of all days, we had a faculty meeting, and we got 3 new administrators at this point into the school year, so I certainly, I apologize. And I felt terrible that she couldn't reach any of us. So you're saying we should let her know this will take place within 2 years?
Within 2 years. It's already in process.
All right.
But it takes, you know, we have to bid out and do the whole 9 yards, so it takes time. But it's in process, and within the next 2 years it will be done.
All right.
And next, Mayor, we'll check it for routine maintenance, it's certainly in the meantime as well.
That would be nice. You know what, if someone could do that and reach out to her. I feel bad. Oh, I feel badly. Well, hopefully my grammar was correct. I don't, you know, we were trying so hard to make sure we're being receptive to our residents' needs, and we don't want anyone to feel left behind, especially someone who's been out there so long. So, thank you.
Great, thank you. All right. Any board reports?
Hey, hello, good evening. Jason Halberg, Chair of the Comprehensive Planning Board. A few months ago, the Town Council enacted the zoning in progress to revise the definition within the Unified Land Development Code for the term net acre. And this revision would exclude, would exclude certain power line transmission easements, surface water management areas, and drainage easements, all for the purpose of preserving our open space. So the council subsequently tasked our board to review this item, which the board expeditiously accomplished at our last meeting. The draft ordinance has currently been sent back to you guys. I believe it's on your agenda for this evening, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe not. The board has also been working closely with town planner Jeff Kadams on exploring additional ways to help minimize the impact of new residential developments here in the ranches. During our last meeting, the board discussed and approved several additional measures, all with the thought in mind of preserving our open spaces. And finally, I do have to share that I'm super honored to be a part of a group of people with such diverse backgrounds in our board, and most of all, who are truly dedicated and passionate on preserving our rural lifestyle. That's all I have at the moment, and it looks like we have a full agenda ready for our next board meeting. So, thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Any other board reports? Seeing none, council member comments.
I'll go.
All right.
I'll be brief. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Just want to ask a few questions. First off, let me get some of the public announcements out of the way. We have the Broward County Property Appraiser here at Town Hall on the 20th from 10:30 to 12:30. We have the Flowmobile by appointment only from 10 to 2 on the 22nd of September. We have, real important, our second budget meeting at 6 p.m. on the 23rd. And we have the Country Estates Park entrance design. It needs to be submitted by the 15th of November. So you're going to hear that from me for a couple more times until we get going on that. One thing I want to just briefly talk about, I worked with Andy. We had some residents' concerns over the last couple of weeks, and we have addressed them, and it's regarding security here at the town hall at nighttime with the advisory boards meeting here and whatnot, and we're going to trial basis. We're going to have the deputy that's assigned to this area, I'm sorry, not deputy, the patrol officer assigned to this area is going to be here on those 7 nights or 6 nights or what have you, and they'll coordinate with administration from 8:30 to 9:15. They'll be just sitting out in their patrol car, but it's I call it enhanced security at this point. There's no incident that occurred or anything like that. We're being kind of proactive in this. We don't want it to become, we don't want an incident. We have a lot of people here throughout the night, and people coming and going, and in just that little short time window, we're going to try and see how well that works out. The officer will still be available if they get a call to go on to respond to the call. But if they're, if they're just doing paperwork or whatever, they're laying it's helpful if the chairman of each committee brings a box of donuts. No pressure. Anyway, I'm kidding aside, but they'll be here in the parking lot for some added security. During that time. So we're going to be trying that. We're going to be trying that on a trial basis coming up here. So I just wanted to mention that was just something I was working on with Andy and some residents' concerns concerning security and safety. Andy, we didn't have our normal meeting, and I apologize, and I totally forgot about mentioning this to you when we talked on the phone this week, but we've been talking about neighborhood grants lately, and I wanted to know if Andy could, explore and look into that. We had the beautification grant, and we had the safety grant at one point. And I'm just opening up and starting the conversation on, do we want to do another, I think we have a $5,000 or $3,000 beautification grant right now. Do we want to do anything more for the neighborhoods, or do we want to just keep that in the funding the way it's going? I'm just raising the question. It was raised at a couple of town council meetings. You guys were there, so I'm just bringing it out as a conversation piece. And I apologize, Andy, I didn't give you any advance notice on that. But so if you guys want to comment on it, if you don't, it's not a problem. And I'll bring it up later on too, also. And that's all I have here.
Okay, great. Thank you, Gary. All right. So long as you just brought that up, before we get into other council comments, let's just spend a moment, maybe talk a little bit about it. I think those are great for our community, the beautification and those grants. That it's another way that we can partner with the community and the organizations in the community. They're taking the leadership on a project to make our town better. And I think, obviously there are limits, financial limits to it, but that us having the ability to partner with them and work together to make our town better is a fantastic thing.
Well, when you say financial limits, that's a yes and a no. Marty, don't have a heart attack. We'd still have in the forfeiture fund over $70,000 in that fund that we could use. We could allocate some of that. I'm not talking big sums here, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. It'd be within limits. I mean, I think it's a fantastic program. But we need to be. We don't know what's coming down the road either. So we need to be fiscally conservative about what we're doing. So I think we should support it. I think each one stands on its own. And we make a decision there, but I think we have to be careful to have that balance to say, yeah, we strongly support it, but that we have fiscal limits as well. So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm thinking small numbers here, but I'm saying, but we do have the money, The point I'm trying to make is we do have some discretionary funds that we could tap into without affecting the overall budget, village, anything like that. Like we did with the parks and the cameras and, you know, stuff like that.
We have money budgeted annually for that specific line item. So, I mean, to me.
Yeah, but we did, at one time I think we had 2 grants going, and I know Andy's like, you know,
So,
jumping up and down there.
So the conversation we had before, I don't know if we're going to get specifics, but there's 2 different HOAs or civic associations that have an interest in 2 different projects. But the timing here is like perfect because we're just coming out of one budget year where that funding has not been used. We're going into another budget year that's going to have its own funding. So we'll be able to, I think, be able to do both by one tapping into last year's funds and the other one tapping into next year's funds.
Ordinarily, we roll it over, if I understand it,
Either way,
but we're not talking large sums of money here, we're talking $5,000, you know, something like that. What I'm suggesting is something in the $5,000 to $10,000 range. That's my thinking process as a safety grant or something like that, or an identification grant, or, you know, beautification, however you want to phrase it. You know, or something.
Can I throw some additional info out? So, sorry.
No, go ahead.
So, Country Estates is working on one, Rolling Oaks is working on one. I had a conversation with the president of both HOAs, or both associations, and it looks like ROCA probably will pursue quickly because they've got something that's shovel-ready. And Country Estates, due to planning and design and all, the preliminary work that needs to be done, it looks like they'll be done probably January timeframe to submit to the council. So these things will roll right along the way we discussed, I think, at the ROCA meeting. So, I mean, I'm not sure if we need to go for anything other than what we'd have budgeted for both years.
I'm just starting the conversation.
No,
If we don't want to,
I'm bringing you up to date with the conversations I had since the last meeting.
if we don't want to fund it further,
Sure.
that's okay. I'm not worried about it. I'm just bringing it out.
And then I guess that's where I get confused, because I'm not saying we don't want to fund it further. That's certainly not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we have money budgeted. It sounds like the projects already are going to fit within that budget. I don't know why we're talking about additional funds.
Okay.
If it's a little extra, I would like to see it, and certainly that's a possibility, but I just don't know why.
No, I wasn't suggesting that. What I was suggesting is, do we want to do an additional type of grant, another $5,000 for something else? And I'm just throwing it out there for discussion.
Okay.
Not making a motion.
Right, now, I've become aware of Rolling Oaks being some project they're working on the signs for Country Estates. And I know that Sunshine Ranches has discussed resurfacing the 2 entranceways at both here Hancock and Griffin, at Flamingo and Sterling. And all they're looking at is just getting, I guess, pressure cleaning and repainting that to get them ready for the plaques that were previously approved, and they're actually sitting in the Parker's garage at this moment. So that was an additional, and I'm sure Green Meadows is trying to form their HOA, and they would like some kind of recognition as well.
Mayor?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. As Councilmember Jablonski said, we do budget $5,000 per year for these. There may be as many as 3 associations currently working on different aspects of that. The grant does require a 50% match, which sweat equity is allowed. So that certainly, the $5,000 is in effect $10,000 worth of value if you look at it that way. If 3 come in, and we're looking in excess of that, we certainly can come back to you all to reevaluate that. I wouldn't necessarily throw more money at it now.
Right.
But I will say to you from a staff standpoint, I'll speak for Marty, that's one of those things that if you're looking at a small enough amount of funding, then generally we can find something to give you all some additional options throughout the year, should we need it.
Good.
Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that.
You got it?
Yes, no.
Yes.
Accurate, big guy.
Now, I think it'd probably be easier to give you a quick update on HOA, Sunshine Ranches HOA's project. So, as David had mentioned, so we're looking to we're going to pressure clean and repaint the two entryways for Sunshine Ranches on entrance off of Griffin onto Hancock and the one off of Flamingo onto Sterling. I went out to the Facebook page, Southwest Ranches and nearby, and asked for some referrals, for some references of local people. I found a company here. They actually, I believe they're somehow affiliated with Sunshine Ranches, and they've offered to do it at no charge. Which, again, we haven't done the project yet. This is more of a verbal thing. I'm really blown away. We're super appreciative, and it shows that the community is willing to give back. So we're now at a point where we're trying to figure out paint costs and other whatever ancillary supplies they need. And also trying to decide if we want to go ahead and fund it ourselves. It could be $400 or $500 from max. We have the funds as well. It's always nice to get from the town, don't get me wrong. But it's something that, we kind of pride ourselves as an HOA. This is what Chris and I were just talking about. That's one of the things that we do as an HOA. And I'm concerned that if we tap into funds for the town, now we're not really, other than sweat, kind of a sweat effort. So that's a discussion we're having. I want to keep that door open for the beautification grant, but it's going to be a pretty minimal if we put that request in. Great. But again, we'll explore other projects to, if there's resources available, just to, again, looking to make the town better. So, thanks.
Awesome. Great. Thank you, Jason.
I like Andy's idea of scoping out the project and then seeing if that fits the budget or if it needs some tweaking as opposed to throwing money at it.
Absolutely. I think that's where I was coming from, so I wanted to see.
I understand, yeah, I understood where you're going.
Great. Okay. Believe it or not, we're still in council member comments.
Mr. Mayor, I'll be very, very brief.
Thank you, Jim.
Mayor and council, staff, residents, thank you for coming this evening. I'll be real brief. I want to say thank you to everyone that was involved in Saturday's memorial ceremony. I left here with a tear in my eye. It meant a lot to me to see that flag go up at half-mast. I have seen that flag fly many a time at half-mast, and it was quite touching. And for everybody involved, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. Real quick, the Green Meadows, we are trying to establish the homeowners association, and residents get very nervous when you say homeowners association, but I think I can convince them to not worry about having to paint the door purple or putting up a green fence or whatever. I think we can just be a civic association and enjoy each other. And lastly, I've been very worried and very concerned this past 2 weeks. I think most of y'all have seen football game on TV or the tennis, nobody wearing masks. This pandemic's not going away. This is here. I just looked it up. There's been over 600, and I'll say it again, 670,000 deaths in the United States. That's more than were killed in World War II. I think about that for a minute. And we're our own worst enemy by not wearing these masks at these different events. The young people think they can't get it, but I understand there's 8, 9, 10-year-old kids coming down with this COVID. So we have to talk to our neighbors. Whether you get the shot or not, whatever your belief is, but wearing these masks will help. And we probably won't eradicate it for any period of time, but maybe we can slow it down enough to where we don't lose another 670,000 people. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
I'll go next. Good evening, folks. For those who didn't make the budget meeting, it went incredibly smooth this year. It has for the last couple of years, and I really want to give credit where credit is due. We review it, we make recommendations, but it's really the finance and administrative groups, the whole team. Basically, they start this in January, February timeframe. The leaders of each one of the departments go over what their budgetary needs are, what projects they'd like to try to accomplish. They feed that up to the finance team. Those guys chew on these numbers for months. Then during the summer, we get involved, early summer, we get involved, we get a review of it. So we're not asking a lot of questions because the thousands of questions that I've had, they've already answered. So I really want to give kudos to the entire team. We've kept taxes basically flat, except for a $60 increase in the fire fees. So they get all the credit, folks. The council's just here to ask questions and endorse based on your, based on the residents in town. So thank you to everybody on the town team. It's a great job. Yeah, once upon a time, those meetings were very acrimonious, but now with the transparency that this team provides, there aren't very many questions when it comes to the council at the council meetings. I wanted to also bring up some additional kudos. About 4 or 5 years ago, if you all remember, they created an Office of the Inspector General in Broward County, and it was after a whole lot of politicians got arrested for different corruption. Well, the Inspector General, they don't just look for corruption, they also make sure that we're all doing our jobs as council members. We have paperwork we have to file and they track all that. And as well, these meetings, they have a certain rigor that have to be carried out before every meeting. They have to be noticed. If there's any changes, everything has to be done above board. And for the first time that I can recall, the Inspector General put out a report highlighting the cities and their track records for I think it was a 4-month period earlier this year. And it was such a delight to see everything positive about Southwest Ranches. We checked all the boxes. Russell and his team, and where needed and where they jump in, the rest of the town team has done a great job. And I like seeing that coming from the Inspector General rather than so-and-so is just brought up on charges. It's really a testament to the hard work that Russell and his team do for every one of these meetings. And they don't just deal with these meetings. Every one of the town advisory board meetings have to be noticed and handled very similarly. They also take into consideration all of the HOA meetings so that we can go and provide some feedback to the community. So it's a tough job, and I was very, very happy to see that they've basically, as far as the Inspector General is concerned, they've done a perfect job. So again, kudos. Just a reminder for those who are going, Broward Water Leaders Academy starts this Friday down at Government Center. I was going to talk about the neighborhood grants as well. I'm glad you brought that up, Gary. Regarding the 9/11 remembrance that we did on Saturday, again, thank you to everybody who put that together. I wanted to bring up, I didn't know that Louis Gregory started working with you on that, Andy, about a year ago. I saw that highlighted somewhere. If you don't know Louis Gregory, he's a pretty dynamic character. I've written actually an article in the town newsletter a little over a year about this guy. He was one of the people that got Department of Homeland Security started once upon a time. In addition to being a government bureaucrat, he was also a record producer for Jay-Z and some of the top hip-hop bands that are out there today. He decided to retire from the federal government, and now he started a challenge coin business, and it's one of the bigger ones out there, so he's a pretty dynamic guy. Well, if you know Louis, 9/11 means a lot to him. He was at the age where he wasn't sure what he was going to do with his life, and when he saw what happened to the buildings downtown Manhattan, he immediately enlisted in the Air Force and served in Afghanistan to try to fix the problem that we had that caused the terrorism. So I want to thank him, and I also want to thank the rest of the town staff. That was a once-in-a-lifetime event. I don't want to be here for the 40th anniversary, the 50th anniversary. It's just, every time I think about it, having lived through it and lost friends in it, it's pretty painful. But thank you for doing a very fine job on it. How many of you read Facebook? So the latest on Facebook, and it's not that new, is the coyote problem we have in town here. Just to give you some ideas, this field to the east of town hall that has all the beehives on it used to have a bunch of sheep. Coyotes took out all but one of the sheep. George Morris has got sheep on a number of properties around town. that he farms them on, and he and I were comparing notes about 3 weeks ago. He lost 15 lambs in one night to coyotes. If you look on Facebook, people are losing pets, cats, dogs. It's horrible. A week ago, Thursday, I lost 15 chickens. There's nothing worse than going out there and seeing your little prides enjoy. They're not pets for me. I mean, I have an egg farm. But still, each one of them I raised from an egg, and it's kind of painful to go out there and have to euthanize half of them because they're all torn up. I'm not sure if there's something we can do as a town. I mean, there's people out there that want to start petitions. They want to, you know, nobody wants to go out and start shooting these things up around town. I don't know if we can get a state trapper in here. I'm not sure what the options are, and I thought maybe we could ask Andy to take a look at it. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I know you're not all farmers, but to the people that are losing their animals, it's pretty painful.
It's a real problem. It's a real problem. You know, I don't, you know, it sounds like it's a tough one to resolve, but I am all for trying to see whatever options are out there. If we have a tracker, hunter, you know, yeah, it's a real problem. It's affecting the rural lifestyle of our town.
Yeah, I don't have any chickens, and I don't have any sheep. I've got a couple horses, and my neighbor's got all the above, and I let them use my pastures and everything. Every week now for the last month, I've got scat, which is a nice way of saying schnitzel.
Coyote?
Yeah, in the backyard. I'm talking along my patio.
Right.
You know, it's all middle of the night stuff, you know. And I kept noticing it, and I actually had somebody who pest control people who were doing other stuff, or you know, just monthly stuff that got get done, and they identified it as coyote also, that they've been used to something like that. And so it's pervasive all over the place. The coyotes are using places that don't have, you know, animals to get to the animals. I mean, they don't know what a fence is, they hop over, you know, that kind of stuff. So it's a town-wide problem that we need to address. You know, and I certainly don't want, you know, a whole bunch of people running around with firearms, you know, that have no business doing that in the middle of the night, you know, that we're just inviting problems with that. If there's a trapping, you know, obviously the other method is trapping, and we can't use bear traps or things of that nature. You know, so I think those are illegal and outlawed. So somebody in the state somebody's got a solution to this problem. I think we just have to find it.
Yeah.
And then implement it. And I'm sure there's going to be a cost structure with it. You know, but it's something we may have to do.
Thanks.
You know, and I appreciate you bringing it up, Bob, because you know it's out there in the forefront. You know.
There's an FWC website that shows you all the coyote reports. They basically take the canals east. They go all the way to the ocean. There's Dainty Beach reports of coyotes, which blew me away. I was speaking to one of my egg customers today up in Savannah in Weston. Sorry. I was speaking to one of my customers today up in Savannah. They cited 2 coyotes. It was on their next door, you know, the next door thing that everybody uses. They're showing coyotes on their Ring doorbells. That's how bad it's getting. So,
yeah, I believe they're in all 48 states. 50, 40.
I'm sure they're in Alaska.
Not Hawaii.
Yeah.
Hawaii is the only one that doesn't have it.
Yeah.
You know, from what I read. Yeah, if we can do something about it as a town, great. But you know, let's you know, like you said, let's find out.
Yeah.
You know.
So will we okay directing Andy to get us some more information?
I think that's the plan.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. I did want to talk about the security concern that you had brought up, Gary, as well. I mean, I'm all for protecting our residents, particularly when they're in the building here, but I have a concern about taking probably our scarcest resource in town, our police officers, out of the field and bringing them here. You know, my concern is when I look out of that parking lot from here, I can't see anything out there. Or I don't know how many watts or lumens our bulbs are. I doubt they're up to whatever the requirement is to be below for our dark skies ordinance. because I've stepped in holes out there, I've stepped in puddles that I didn't see because it was too dark. I think that putting a police officer in here for the 45 minutes that were in the note that went around, I guess from 8:30 to about 9:15, is a good stopgap. But in perpetuity, I'd rather they be in the field and we address it perhaps with more lighting or some other solutions other than taking the DVPD out of the field. To me, that's...
Well, under the plan that we're trying, it's a work in progress, so.
Right.
If they get a call, they go.
Right.
So we're not really taking them out of the field per se.
I'd rather they be sitting over on Hollow Trail than in the parking lot here if they're going to be doing that paperwork. I hear what you're saying, but again, to me, they're more important and more valuable to the town out there. And whatever we need to do here, I'm not sure what that is. Again, maybe some options.
Well, like I said, it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
you know, maybe we need to have somebody else here. I mean, we're being proactive. There's an event that has caused this. And so, you know, we want to make sure that there's no event that may cause this. And, you know, we have a lot of, members of the public that come in here that are, female, and they're not, and guys too. I mean, they're not, it's not, it's a little scary when the lights go out.
Right. I recognize the safety concern. I mean, I'm just trying to come up with another solution rather than taking the police out of the field. So, again, I look at them here as a stopgap. I think that's all I have. Thank you. Thank you, folks.
Thank you, Bob. David?
A few comments. If I may, Mr. Mayor. First, COVID-19. I've spoken month after month, after 2 weeks after 2 weeks, repeatedly. It's really important that if you're not get the vaccine, please get the vaccine. I'm looking at Local 10. It says that Florida reports 33,000 new COVID cases since Friday. That came out just about 1:30 today. It's still going. It's still going. And I lost a friend of mine from law school about 2 weeks ago. Guys in his 40s, and it wasn't the primary cause. He did have additional health issues, but it took his life because he did subsequently contract the COVID. So it's really important. Now, everybody knows back that we had the bidding opened up for the drainage project out in country estates and the roads in various parts of the town, including Sunshine Ranches. The bidding closes on the drainage project on 9/17, so there's not too many days left on that. After that, bids will be accepted and I believe construction will begin on that. And on the various roads in Sunshine Ranches, the bidding closes on the 28th. And then after then, as I've had a lot of phone calls, what are you going to do about the paving? We're moving forward with it. The penny cent sales tax really helped make this go forward. Bidding's going to close on the 28th, and those projects will be started. Coyotes, that's a big concern of mine, because we don't like to leave our animals just running stray. So, I have a backyard, and I'll let my dogs sometimes in the backyard. Sometimes I'll tie them up in the front yard. They want an alternative. And to think that while they want to get tied up on the front yard, because one of them likes to run away, coyote come by and, one of my animals could be gone. That's going to really break my heart. It's going to be add to the stress. I want to recognize the Kalis. We did a good job. A couple years ago, we were asked what kind of promises were made to you, and I didn't make any promises. Nobody up here made any promises. We just did our job. We did what we were supposed to, and I want to thank the mayor. I want to thank the council, the administration. I want to thank Fred Siegel, and most of all, I want to thank Keith. Keith did a really, really good job in putting that case together and getting the dumping to stop. And now there's not going to be any dumping, it's going to be a hefty fine for the guy next to the Kalis. So that's well taken care of. After the 9/11 ceremony, I got a phone call that my nephew was in a parking lot in northern Alabama. And he had his gun out, and it accidentally discharged. And it took his life. And it was a really painful experience, and I want to thank the mayor, I want to thank Vice Mayor Hartman, Councilmember Jablonski, thank you, Andy Russell, Councilmember Albritton, Chris Newell, Jason, Detective Hopeless. I want to thank you all for your well taken thoughts. It meant a lot to me. I've asked Chris that once we start having the HOA meetings where we can have everybody present, that maybe we can do a firearm safety course for our residents and ask youth to come out. Because I'm thinking my nephew was 21 years old and in a parking lot. And I'm just wondering, why would he be in a parking lot of a business that did not sell guns, that did not sell ammunition, that wasn't a shooting range? Why would there be a loaded gun in his truck? And it just doesn't make sense to me unless there was a gun safety issue that was involved. And I never thought in my life that my family would be a victim of a gun-related death. It just really hit me really hard. But I want to thank everybody. Your thoughts really went to my heart. Also, thank you, Andy, thank you. That wraps up my comments.
Thank you, David, and we do, our hearts go out to you, and thoughts and prayers are really just share the pain.
Anyway, all right. Let's move on.
Right. Couple of just shout outs. George, Barbara, just really, just congratulations. This has been a long journey. Thank you for your persistence. This was a team effort, between the staff, Key, attorneys, the council. Also want to, the ag community recognize that this was not a regular bona fide ag type use, and they got behind it and helped us, determine what was going on out there. So the whole thing together was a community effort to do the right thing. Thank you all for being persistent and helping us to get it done. So congratulations and thank you. I just want to touch on real quickly the security item, just weigh in on that as well. I do think that I totally get where you're going, Bob, and I support what you're saying, but I do think that I don't see this as them coming out of the field to do this, because I think this is in their normal jurisdictional area. I think if there was any other event that had a group of people, that's where we would want them to be. It's just a natural thing to, so I actually think it's something they probably should have been doing for a long time. But we never directed them to do it, so I totally get that. I'm not pointing fingers that way, but I think it's a good thing. I think it's another way that the community can interact with the Davie Police and build stronger relationships. I actually think it works out really well that way. I'll just, Jason, just a quick word out there. I have discussed with Andy some of the other ideas that you had, and we're going to take a look at those as well. But I think we're on the right track, and I appreciate that it was brought to our attention from the community, and I think we'll be better for it. I think it's a good thing. I wanted to also thank everything that went together for the 9/11 ceremony. Everybody did an amazing job, starting with the residents, as you said. Appreciate you bringing up Louis Gregory on that. That was the first phone call I got, was from him saying, hey, we really got to do something. And he stayed after it and behind it. You know, George Morris, PHI, did an amazing job on the plaque out there. It was fantastic. I want to do a special shout out to Russell for writing up, I know he had some assistance in it, but for really writing up that proclamation. Anybody that was there knows that it touched my heart, and it was really special the way it was written. I think it was perfect, and really sincerely appreciate that, Russell. So great event, and really it's a great reminder for all of us that all that happened, the sacrifice, and the freedom that we enjoy because of it. So thank you for all that. Also wanted to put out, you know, we had a guest there from the Broward School Board that doesn't always come around here because she's countywide, but Donna Korn was here, and I just wanted to do a shout out to thank her for that. It was great to, it's the first time I had met her, great to meet her, and that she showed interest in our town to come out here. That was really good as well, so thank you to her. And then, you know, I want to finish off with one last item. You know, a lot of times we talk about the rural lifestyle and how important it is, and passing it on to the next generation. But we don't always see concrete evidence of that. And I got an email in the last couple of weeks, and I wanted to share it. It was actually from Madison Sullivan, and she was talking about another topic. The youth council is still trying to work on that, even though she's, you know, up in Tallahassee. So that was pretty cool. But she finished off in the last paragraph, and I want to read a portion of it to you because I think it speaks a lot about why we do what we do. And she says, my life in Southwest Ranches has been beautiful and filled with the most amazing people. I will always cherish the memories of sitting in council meetings, hearing passionate opposing views, bordering on hostility, maybe a little beyond bordering, but bordering on hostility, and then watching those same residents meet up at Chili's afterwards for dinner. I mean, that's the ranches. We're passionate about what we believe on, but we're but we're all one community. She says, you must be so proud to represent a strong, passionate, and diverse group of people, and certainly I am. That's absolutely true. Please pass on my love, appreciation, and sentiments onto the entire council, Mr. Andy Burns, the advisory boards, the coolest town staff ever, and the residents. Thank you so much. So is that awesome or what? It really. Thank you, Madison. All right, that concludes my comments. Legal comments?
No legal comments. Keith should be here in about 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, we want to announce an executive session, Richard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in order to discuss pending litigation, we'd like to schedule and put on the calendar, but we need to announce tonight during a public meeting, next Monday at 6 p.m., an executive or shade session so that we can discuss pending litigation.
Very good.
Okay?
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Russell, you need anything else for notice on that? Just the topic of the litigation, I think it's important to announce when we do the notice, so I think we have to announce the topics as required by law. Okay, it would be Meyer case and Pepperpine. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
Maybe some members of the audience do not know what a shade session is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so as you're aware, all of our town meetings are public meetings where the public is allowed. However, there are situations where litigation is involved, and it would be highly detrimental to the town if we were to have those meetings where we're getting together on strategy for a legal contest, whatever you want to call it, litigation, if we were to do that in public. And basically then everybody gets to hear what the strategy is, right? So in those cases, there's special rules that are associated with it. They are all recorded, or there's minutes taken of them and dictation of them, and that is preserved. And once, Richard, maybe you can...
Once pending litigation is over with, that does become a public record, the transcripts of that meeting.
Right, thank you. So it is all released eventually, but these are the only meetings I'm aware of where unfortunately the public cannot participate because it's strategy related. Okay. Let's see. Administrative comments.
On that note, Mayor, I have nothing else to add. I think you guys have all done a great job of covering it. I was going to talk about the 9/11 ceremony on Saturday, but you all, as with your comments on Saturday, did it justice, and I thank you for that.
Perfect, thank you. Okay. Item number 9.
Item number 9 is an ordinance on second reading. This item, just so you know, is also being requested to be tabled to September 23rd, but I will be titled into the record. This is an ordinance of the Town of Southwest Branches, Florida, approving the 10-year water supply facility work plan and adopting implementing amendments to the goals, objectives, and policies of the utilities element and capital improvements element of the Town of Southwest Branches comprehensive plan, authorizing transmittal of the 10-year water supply facilities work plan and related comprehensive plan amendments to reviewing agencies, providing for conflict, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Again, this item is being requested to be tabled to September 23rd, 2021.
Motion to table, date certain.
Second. Okay. Russell, if you could please call the roll.
Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Barkley?
Yes.
Motion to table passes.
Item number 10.
Item number 10 is an ordinance of the Town of Southwest Branches, Florida, establishing a permanent residency requirement to be to be appointed to serve as a voting member on a town board, creating section 2-95 of the town's code of ordinances entitled Permanent Residency Requirement, providing for inclusion in the town's code, providing for conflict, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing none, is there any public comment on this item?
In the minutes, if you'll take a look at line 3, the word requirement, there's a thing called spell check.
Thank you, Newell. For the record, that was Newell Hollingsworth, 199.
I'm shocked.
All right, seeing no other public comment is closed. Russell, if you can please call the question.
Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Barkley?
Yes.
Motion passes.
With the title.
Okay, item number 11.
Item number 11 is an ordinance of the Town of Southwest Branches, Florida, amending the Town of Southwest Branches Unified Land Development Code, Article 45, Agricultural and Rural Districts, Section 045-030, General Provisions to regulate the location of new businesses engaged in commercial retail sales of plants on plots and portions of plots that are not farms, no agricultural property tax classification, and to provide for non-conforming uses, providing for codification, providing for conflict, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Great.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second on the floor. Is there any discussion on the item?
Mr. Mayor, I just say it's a long time coming. I don't know how many years it's been and how many, like you said, contentious arguments that Ms. Madison was talking about back and forth, but I hope that this brings, conclusion to everything, and I hope everybody's satisfied with it.
Awesome. Yeah, it's been a long time. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, public comment is closed. Russell, if you please call the question.
Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Barkley?
Yes.
Motion passes.
3 years? 4 years. 4 years. 4 years.
Good job. Good job.
Item number 12, please.
This is an ordinance of the Town of Southwest Branches, Florida, amending the Town of Southwest Branches Unified Land Development Code, Article 45, Agricultural and Rural Districts, 045-030, General Provisions by creating subsection X to to prohibit the conversion of a single-family dwelling for non-residential use without first obtaining a special exception use permit, providing for codification, providing for conflict, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing none, is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, public comment is closed. Russell, if you could please call the roll.
Certainly, Mayor. Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kaczynski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Barkley?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Good one. Thank you.
You know, we talk a lot about preserving the rural lifestyle. I'm so proud of this council and the boards all working together, the resident input. We have done some amazing things in the last year to really preserve this town for years and years and years to come. So this is a big piece of it as well. All right, item number 13.
Item 13, Mayor, is the resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, piggybacking onto the procured agreement between Bergeron Emergency Services, Inc. and the Town of Davie to provide disaster debris management and removal services, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to enter into an agreement and providing an effective date.
Mayor, I just have just one quick clarification on this, and this applies for number 13 and 14. The agreement that's attached to both of those is a black-line agreement. That's not the agreement that you're going to be incorporating into these resolutions. It's actually our standard agreement that I believe Sandy had emailed to you.
I believe so. And if not, we'll make sure.
And if not, we'll make sure that will happen. But both resolutions do authorize the town attorney to negotiate with counsel for the two vendors, and that's what we plan on doing. So just want to make sure that's clear, because that's not what's in the backup.
Great, thank you for clarifying that. All right, is there any council member comments, questions on this item? Seeing none, is there any public comment on this item?
We never need
Yeah, really. Seeing none, public comment is closed. Russell, if you can please call it.
Did we get a motion and a second to approve?
No, we didn't actually. So moved. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Yeah, very good. See, this is why we never get written up by the. Russell's office.
Thanks, Russell.
Yeah. There you go.
Debbie gave me a
Excellent, thank you.
All right, Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kaczynski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Barkley?
Yes. And item number 14.
Item number 14, give me 1 second, sorry.
Same thing.
Here we go. Okay, item number 14 is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, piggybacking onto the procured agreement between the Town of Davie, Florida, and Widow Bryan's LLC for disaster debris monitoring services and financial recovery assistance, waiving any and all procurement code requirements that may be in conflict, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to enter into the agreement and providing an effective date. And the same comments from Mr. DeWitt apply to this particular item.
Great.
Motion to approve with the legal comments.
Second.
Perfect. Any comments, questions on this item from the council?
Mr. Mayor, it's just my understanding this is required based on federal regulations. All right.
Just a quick question. We use our Ashford currently?
We use Bergeron Emergency Services. Ashbrook is a backup vendor to us, and then Widow Bryan is to monitor it.
How about Ashford did the monitoring? That's why
No,
I'm
we use
asking.
Widow Bryan for that, and that's what keeps us FEMA compliant.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, Russell, if you can please call the roll.
Certainly, Mayor. Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kaczynski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Barkley?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion to adjourn.
Excellent.
Yes.
All right, awesome. Thank you all for coming out.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Good night, folks.
Good night.